Overwatch is the new hot shit, and with very good reason. It's Blizzard's first new IP in ages, the first chance their phenomenal concept artists have had since Diablo to do something other than rip off Warhammer, and their first crack at applying their renowned game balancing and polishing skills to an action-based genre, namely the objective-based squad shooter. The game has so much going for it. Great, varied map design, interesting lore, and some of the most gorgeous, performance-friendly visuals out there. But let's be real here. The biggest draw is the heroes. The game has a huge, diverse, interesting cast of characters who represent a broad range of both archetypes and cultural backgrounds. No matter who you are, chances are there's someone in this game who represents your interests, appeals to your aesthetic sensibilities, or fits your playstyle. But some heroes are inevitably going to be stronger picks than others, especially if you intend on playing the game competitively. This video is not intended to complain about those heroes. I think that the game is balanced enough that everyone can serve a viable role or fit a niche depending on the situation, and counterpicking in Overwatch is very strong. So if you're looking to vent about McCree, or you're one of those people who've only played 3 rounds and still thinks Bastion or Torbjorn are overpowered, you're not going to find catharsis here. Aside from those conversations being boring and mostly unnecessary, there's a lot of debate over who the best tank, defense, and offense heroes really are in the first place. Today, we're going to be looking at the support heroes. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at Lúcio and why he's pretty much objectively the best. And no, it's not just because he was basically lifted straight from Jet Set Radio, even though that is a great excuse for giving this video an awesome soundtrack. Overwatch tier lists are a very hotly debated subject at the moment, and they should be, since the game is barely out of beta and competitive play isn't fully implemented yet, and because the ability to change heroes basically renders them moot. But the one thing that almost everyone on the internet seems to be in agreement on is that Lúcio is the most helpful support character to have in your ranks. Why is that?
Oh, let's break it down!
In any class-based shooter, support characters serve a lot of different functions. Most obviously, they help to keep your team alive with healing and make them more effective in combat with various buffs and debuffs. Every support character in Overwatch fills these roles in different ways. Mercy targets one hero at a time with a very powerful healing ray, effectively making that character invincible until she's dealt with, or she can buff the character's damage output substantially, making them a much bigger threat. Zenyatta, likewise, provides slower healing to one character with his Orb of Harmony, which will stick to them at any distance as long as he maintains line of sight, which means that he can fight while helping teammates simultaneously. He can also weaken one enemy at a time with his Orb of Discord, causing them to take 50% more damage per hit. Symmetra helps less directly by giving everyone on her team a shield which lasts until they die. The shield only provides 1 shot's worth of extra health, but it regenerates when in cover, so it helps a lot if you want to prolong a firefight. Her turrets slow down enemies and damage them over time, making her a great choice for defending choke points. Lúcio, meanwhile, heals every ally he can see within a wide area of effect. He does this slowly at half the speed of Zenyatta and a quarter that of Mercy, but of course the overall effect is stronger the more allies you have around him. With 3 or more teammates around him, he nullifies more damage per second than Mercy, and that's before using his Amp It Up ability, which temporarily quadruples the healing rate. Of course, with it spread out like that, the healing isn't always as effective as Zenyatta's or Mercy's, but it can really help to keep your allies in the fight. And Lucio's ultimate further contributes to this, providing 5 seconds of protection from big, high-damage threats like enemy ultimates, while also allowing for powerful, offensive pushes when coordinated properly with your team. And when your team doesn't need healing, he has the unique ability to increase the speed of everyone around him. This has the obvious benefit of helping your team advance into position more quickly, and a lot of novice Lúcio players switch it off as soon as they reach the point. But it also makes everyone a little bit harder to hit, substantially harder when it's amped up. Which brings us neatly to the other major function of support characters: they take heat off your teammates, since anyone who knows the first thing about these games knows that you should kill the medic first. This means that most support characters, including Mercy, Zenyatta, and Symmetra, spend a lot of time ducking in and out of cover. But Lucio's speed boost and his ability to constantly heal himself along with his teammates makes him surprisingly survivable when out in the open. It's hard to get a beat on him, and even when you do, he can just pop out of sight for a moment and then jump right back into the fray without having to run off for a health pack. But he can also grind along pretty much any wall in the game, putting him well above where most players will initially be aiming when he pops around a corner, and allowing for some crazy evasive maneuvers even even without his speed boost turned up. Enemy teams can rack up a lot of misses trying to put him down, and while they're doing that, your offensive allies can more easily take them out. What this means is that while Lúcio might not provide as huge an advantage as other supports can with proper backup, what he does provide is a lot more consistent and reliable, and when you're playing a game competitively, consistency trumps overall power most of the time. And nowhere is that advantage more apparent than it is when it comes to the additional function Overwatch gives to its support heroes, helping your team get back in the fight. In any online FPS, your team will die. It's part of the gameplay loop. And in an objective-based game like Overwatch, the time that it takes to respawn and get back to defending or attacking a point makes all the difference. Every support hero has some way of helping your team to recover lost ground more quickly if they're partially or entirely wiped, except for Zenyatta, which is why he's generally considered to be the least effective except on defense. Mercy and Symmetra provide this with their ultimate abilities. Mercy can revive any teammate who's waiting to respawn at the exact point where they died. If the enemy puts everything they have into wiping your team, this can totally swing the course of the game, but it relies on Mercy staying alive, which isn't always easy since her evasive capabilities work on a cooldown, and is only really effective within a limited window. Symmetra can create a limited-use teleporter that takes your team straight from spawn to the front lines. That teleporter can be blown up, so it has to be well hidden, but in general, it's more sustainable and useful in the long term than Resurrection. Lucio's ability to speed other players up is a lot simpler and has less swing potential, but it has two big advantages. Firstly, it naturally encourages players to group up when they respawn, which is a better strategy than rushing in one at a time, and secondly, it's a constant ability. Instead of relying on a slow ultimate timer, it's only limited by the 10-second cooldown of Amp It Up. A team with Lúcio on it simply gets more chances at attacking the objective or getting back to it before it's captured than a team without him. And unlike Mercy or Symmetra, the enemy team can't really prevent that by simply killing a priority target or finding and blowing up a building. He might not swing games often, but he can make a good team much more effective, which makes swings that much less important. And that's ignoring the secondary role he can play harassing the enemy. Wall riding lets him get pretty much anywhere that Tracer, Reaper, D.Va, Pharah, Winston, Mei, Widowmaker, Hanzo, or Genji can, allowing him to support flanking maneuvers with his healing, speed, and even a bit of offense. His sonic gun is a little slow and easy to avoid, but it does enough damage to distract the enemy and make a difference in skirmishes. And its secondary fire is pretty nuts. It can be used to push enemies out of position, getting rid of pesky Reinhardts, disorienting Widowmakers, and in some cases even stopping enemy ultimates. It can also, of course, be used to knock players off map edges, making Lúcio the only support hero who can kill an enemy in one shot on his own, albeit under limited circumstances. You have to close in on Lúcio to kill him, but on King of the Hill maps, that's a very risky proposition. That is not to say that Lúcio is the only support character you should ever field, far from it. Other supports can be more effective with different team compositions and the right strategies, and like anybody else in the game, he has hard counters who can easily wreck his shit. Plus, playing Lúcio right takes a lot of practice, so he won't be nearly as effective when you're just starting out. The difference of a second in breaking it down or amping it up will be the line between victory and defeat a lot of the time. All that aside, you should probably be running two supports anyway, and while both of them can be Lúcio, I'd argue that it's more effective to have some variety. I don't think that Lúcio is overpowered, at least not in the sense that he needs a nerf. It's just that in the right hands, he's very consistently good at doing what he does compared to the other supports. That's why you see him topping tier lists and popping up frequently in competitive games. He provides a solid basis for most team compositions that allows for reactive strategies. But more importantly, he's the illegitimate love child of Beat and DJ Professor K, and he plays hockey, eh? In all seriousness, he's a great character, and hopefully this has helped you to understand.
What is love?